What's up, everyone? John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo here. It's been about a month since we reviewed the BlackBerry Z10. I've had much more time to play with it, get a chance to know the phone even better than I did after the few weeks before we did our review. So I want to share my thoughts and opinions as you decide whether or not the BlackBerry Z10 should be right for you on the dawn of its debut on the US carriers. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so here is of course the BlackBerry Z10, and as a refresher, it is the first phone that BlackBerry has released running the new operating system, and that is BlackBerry 10, and that's still a lot of the story here. So when I talked about the review, there were a lot of things I liked about the phone, a few things I didn't like, and for the most part, those still hold true. I really do like the screen still. A 4.2-inch screen is beautiful resolution, web pages load great, text looks beautiful. It's a surprisingly nice screen. What I didn't notice when I did the first review was viewing angle on the side is not as sharp as it's been on other phones, and viewing in direct sunlight is absolutely abysmal. I mean, you can see the glare here. So if you are outside, you're going to have to try and really adjust the brightness to find the level that's going to work to see what's on the screen. So I still really like the gestures. It took me about 4 days-ish to get used to the home button, and that's essentially that swipe up, and I really got used to it. I really am expecting most phone manufacturers to ditch physical home buttons and ultimately go the sort of gesture route, but I think BlackBerry here absolutely nailed it. BlackBerry Peek is still one of my favorite features. As you go ahead and take your finger and scroll up, you can see notifications for what you've got, and if you pull your finger over to the left, you can see all of your information in your BlackBerry Hub, which I'll talk about in just a minute. That's still one of the best things about the device. Continuing, the user interface has become more intuitive as I've used it. I've learned where things are a little better. I've had some muscle memory. I used to keep always sort of scrolling and looking for different settings. Now I can remember I can pull this down, and I can go and access the settings right from there. Although I keep thinking notifications should show up there, perhaps from all my time I've spent with Android. Build quality here has still been very outstanding. I like the way the phone feels. It is plastic, but it feels extremely solid. The back, which is removable, sits flush with the battery, so you don't have any sort of gap that could make a plastic phone feel of less quality. This volume control button sort of in the middle, which does some muting, has been really hard to push. A minor quibble, but one to notice. The volume controls, I really like the placement of them. The power and lock button in the middle of the phone has been a bit of an annoyance. I keep, maybe it's just a personal thing from having tested so many phones, but I'm used to it either being here or up top on the right-hand side. The middle takes a lot of getting used to. Again, small complaint, but something to bear in mind. One of the biggest issues I had with the phone was the lack of applications, and that's still the case now a month later. Most of the apps I use are here, but some of the ones that I really rely on, including Instagram, are not. And actually, lack of Instagram is why I switched away from using the Z10. Other applications will be coming. For example, WhatsApp, which you see right there, was not purchased from or downloaded from a BlackBerry store, side-loaded via the Android installer. So something to keep in mind. It sort of works, not 100%, so apps like that should be coming, hopefully, sometime soon. I mentioned in my review the calendar that sometimes it would crash when I tried to add a new item, and that still is true. About 50% of the time when I try and add a new item here, it'll work. The other 50% of the time, it's going to crash, and I got to reopen it back up again. The browser here is still as impressive as it was when I first tested. Things load really quickly. The HTML test on it showed it's actually one of the faster browsers out there, and I've had no issues with it at all. And that's a big compliment to what BlackBerry's done, because their previous browsers were absolutely abysmal. So using this, I've really noticed no difference between browsing the internet on iOS or Android. It's just that good. We'll go ahead and go home. I love the multitasking. I love these panes that sort of show new things. So I had the calendar application open. You'll see that it's sort of created almost a live tile. It's telling me that 45 minutes, I've got a Revision 3 status update call. If you want to close those, I still wish you could swipe them off the screen. You got to hit that little tiny X, which can be sometimes hard to hit. I thought the keyboard was awesome when I first did the review. I am now absolutely in love with it. The keyboard is outstanding. From the placement of the frets to the learning what you want to type to being able to swipe words right up on the screen is absolutely incredible. This is hands down the best on-screen keyboard I have ever used, and it gets more enjoyable as you use it. There's a heat sensor below the screen that actually will sense your contact point, so if you always type I when you mean to type U, it'll learn where you're going, and it'll adjust it accordingly, and it works really well, and it learns very fast. So from a keyboard standpoint, I would expect from pretty much all BlackBerries, they hit this sucker out of the park. Overall, I've really still been enjoying using the phone. A lack of applications is still my biggest complaint. Battery life that started off outstanding during the initial review has degraded a little bit. When it comes time to the end of the day, now I'm generally below that 20% mark, so that's where it gets to be a little bit nervous time. But I definitely use the phone more than most. So if you're not a heavy user, something you're going to want to keep in mind. Email here is still absolutely outstanding. It comes through almost immediately, quicker on my BlackBerry than it ever was on a desktop application, so pretty cool for there as well. We'll go ahead and go home. I still really like the BlackBerry Hub as well. You can browse through all of your inboxes. They're opening up that API to other third-party applications. It just works well. It's a great way to see a unified inbox. So that has still been very impressive to use. And I said it was the best first-generation operating system that I've ever used, and that's a huge compliment. This is a polished OS. This is a modern OS. This is an OS that is scalable and has a tremendous amount of potential. It's still suffering, though, from sort of new operating system woes, and that's developer support. And I think the success and ultimate success of BlackBerry and BlackBerry 10 is going to be in the hands of developers, and I still think that. If BlackBerry World can get up and running, it can get the applications that the other operating systems have, the future is going to be very bright for BlackBerry. This is a great phone that works very well. However, I still have a hard time recommending it because I just don't know if I trust BlackBerry to be around in 2 years and continue supporting the phone. I would wait probably about 4 months to see what BlackBerry comes out with. They said they want to release up to 12 new devices here throughout the course of 2013, so see what comes. Check out the Q10, see how the company is doing. I would be very wary to pick up a device that I didn't know was going to be supported over the duration of a contract. Now that being said, if you want to pick one of these up unlocked and use it for however long you want to use it, this is going to be a great phone to try out. There are plenty of places to buy them. The prices are dropping on it. It's a really enjoyable phone, but it's hard to recommend it over iOS or Android. It's not better than either of those. I would say it's close to on par, but loses points again from that app support. Something to keep in mind. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on BlackBerry 10, if you've picked one up, if you've used the Z10, whether or not you agree or disagree what your favorite features are. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you guys for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you like. We really appreciate it. Check us out at technobuffalo.com. I'm John Rettinger, and I'll see you next video.